though we're going to reset it back to factory default so you all can go through and see the whole installation. Let's see, next up will be my monitor. So I have one monitor, so I'm going to plug it in. It happens to be a DVI monitor, so I'm going to plug it in right here. Okay, got to screw one side of it down, just kind of keep it tight. Next up would happen to be my camera plug, and actually I have the camera cable sitting down here. First thing I'm going to do is look at all the pins and make sure all the pins are straight, and they are. And I'm going to plug into camera port 1. Now I do on the 8000 series, I do have 2 camera ports. Camera port 1 is a fully functioning powered camera port. Camera port 2 is fully functioning but does not have power. So that means if I needed to plug my Eagle Eye camera in, who needs power somehow, I would have to add the power supply. You can purchase that power supply from us. Make sure you get the right one. It is listed in the price book. It would just plug in, and you could put a second Eagle Eye down here. Now, if you had something that was supplying power to the camera anyway, like that Sound Control Technologies or Vadio adapter system that sends the power over the cable, then you could plug it into camera 2 and not have to worry about it. Okay, so I have that in. Now the next thing is I have to plug it into the camera itself. I put my thumb on the camera so it doesn't sit there and bang around, okay? That's just my way of keeping it in one place. Another cable, high density adapt or pins on it. I'm going to check it and make sure it's good. Then I just plug it in. Make sure it's nice and snug. I'll screw down one side of it. Okay, now that camera at this point is free run. It's supposed to be that way because there's no power on it to lock those voice coils in place. These do not use motors, they use voice coil technology. That way they're silent when they move around. Okay, so he'll be kind of a free reigning guy there until we give him power. A few minutes we'll give him power. Okay, next up we're going to plug in the microphone. Well, I have 2 gray or brown ports here that you can see that are the actual microphone ports themselves. Okay, so I'm going to take this cable. It's a bit long for this application, but I'm going to take it, I'm going to plug in one side, okay, and he's plugged in, and I'm just going to let him fall down here behind the table, and I'm going to plug the other side into my Polycom microphone right here. Okay, and of course I pointed upside down the first time. There we go. Come on. Okay, we're plugged in. So we have everything but power at this point. Everything necessary to do a video call except power. So the next step is to get power. I have my power cord right here. So I'll take it and I'll plug it in. Now the first thing you're going to notice is my little friend back there, the camera, he's going to wake up and go, oh gee, I have power. And he'll actually go in and do a power on reset cycle, and he'll find himself and he'll come back to a neutral location. Okay, at that point the system is ready to power up. Now I could have powered it up while he was doing his thing, but I chose not to. Now how do I power up the unit? I have 2 ways to power up the unit. I can either power it up from the remote up here on the button here that says power, or I can press the button. Okay, fair warning, that button that says power can be disabled using the web interface, so it might not work if you did that. Okay, so I'm going to hit the power button, okay, and I should have a nice little blue light over there, and you're going to see this guy begin to wake up, and you're going to see him cycle. Okay, now I'm not going to make you sit all the way through the boot cycle, so we're just going to kind of cut the tape, and then once he's fully booted, then I'll bring it back online. Let's place that call. Okay, I'm going to select place call, and I'm using the select button. Okay, that select button allows me to type in an IP address. As it turns out, I have one already in there, so I'm just going to use that. Happens to be one of the test sites listed in the Polycom directory that comes on the HDX. There are a number of test sites all over the world, so you're welcome to use those. Let's dial that test site. Okay, it connects. At that point, this test site will then go through a series.
Welcome to callback.
This happens to be a test site that I own, and we use quite often. It gets literally thousands of calls a day. I'm going to go ahead and hang it up. But in that test call, I now know that my audio is working, my video is working, appears to be working. It has the ability to send your video back at you to make sure it's working correctly. Really easy way. So we've set up the camera, we've set up the microphone, the monitor, the speakers, plugged it in, and did a video call very, very quickly. Now that system was already configured, so that took some of our time away. Here in a couple minutes we'll go through a complete configuration of the system, just so you know how to set it up the first time. It's really very easy. Let's place one more call just for fun, since we have new technologies that are available to us, and I think it'd be good to show you very quickly how we can do that. So I'm going to go to place a call, and I happen to have a number in there, 112233. Now that happens to be an E164 system identifier, or alias it's also called. And so I'm going to dial that number, and so you're going to hear it ring. And I'm going to go over here on my iPad and I'm going to answer the call. And you're actually going to see part of me, my stomach, but that's coming off my iPad right here. So now it's hard to see. You get to see all the lights and all the stuff I have behind the scenes. But I actually placed a call, a very quick call, from my HDX directly here to my iPad. Using the Real Presence mobile solution that's available free on the Apple store from Polycom. So it's a very nice way to be able to test very quickly to make sure your video is working. Now again, I've left everything muted, and I did that on purpose. I have two codecs very close proximity of each other. If I unmute them, I will get feedback, and that's the nature of audio in the same room. So I'm very careful about that. All right, I'm going to hang up that call, and we'll move on to the next phase. All right, during the next phase, I want to show you some of the statistics you can get to when you're in an active call. So I'm going to place my call again to my iPad that's sitting here next to me. And so it's going to place the call. I'm going to answer the call. Okay, and we'll see if the call has come up, and we'll see my blue shirt again. Okay, I'm going to hit the info button, the blue button on here, and that blue button is going to bring up statistics. Now I realize from where you are you're not able to read these statistics, but some of the things here are packet loss, transmit rate, and there are multiple pages of these statistics. Okay, they're very handy when you're diagnosing problems. So take a look at that, and it may be useful for you, and may be very helpful for you to figure out what's going on if you're having a problem in one of your calls. Okay, we'll hang up that call, and then we'll also move on to the next section. Okay, so I'm back. I've reset the HDX so that it is back to its factory setup. This is what you'd see the first time you boot up an HDX, and you'll hear
"Hello, guten Tag,"
an introduction.
Hello.
You pick the language you want using the up and down cursor of your remote control.
Hello.
American English happens to be my choice in this situation. Okay.
Hello.
I'll hit the select button. At that point in time, it gives me some information about licensing and my IP address. It's used DHCP to determine and capture a new IP address. The next one says, what country are we in? Well, in our situation, we're in the United States, so I'm going to use that as the default. Now it's asking for a name. In here, I usually put some very simple letters in, because I don't like typing on the keyboard on here. So what I'll usually do is put the basic information in and then web into it using my laptop or my computer to add the rest of the information. It's much easier that way. So we'll put that next information in. I'm going to continue to use the static IP, or not static, but DHCP address. Here I could specify a static address if I chose, or I could go and move over to the the newer IPv6 if I wanted to, if I was in that sort of compatible environment. Here are some additional security questions that typically we just go on through. They're used in very, very special cases. Now he's asking for what kind of security profile. We're going to use the minimal profile, the default. He says the the administration ID is admin. That's the default from the factory. And it says, here's my password. By default from the factory, the password is set to the serial number of the HDX. That serial number is visible on the back of the unit, so you can always get to it. But in this case, when I'm setting up a new system, what I'll typically do is I'll erase the serial number completely. That is, erase the password completely. That way I'm not constantly having to add the password to do other changes on the system. And once completed, do I want to require a logon? No, we're just going to use a basic system, and we're not going to register the system at this time. We're taking the shortest route, and it's going to connect to the network and reboot itself. That's all it takes to set it up and to get it going. I'll sit here for a moment while it's resetting itself, and when it's done, I'll be back. So now that we're back, I want to provide you with another sample of a call. We're going to call right back to that same test site. Okay, type it in, and we're connected to that test site. Audio and video. Okay, it was very simple to set up our system, very quick to set it up. Hope you'll find that it's easy for you to set up your system and get it up and running. We'll go through a few more menus here in a little bit, but I just wanted to show you the basics and how quickly you can set up a system and get it up and running. If you remember a few minutes ago, we set up an HDX and set it back to the factory defaults. And I set some basic information on that HDX. What I wanted to do is be able to tell you and show you what it takes to put a little more elaborate information in that HDX. So I'm going to start out by putting opening Internet Explorer, and I'm going to put in the address of the HDX that we just installed. As you can see, it came up, and it came up with a system name of ABCD. That's not exactly what I want to have in there, so I'm going to change it to Gary M, and then I'll do an update, and it will take that update and confirm. As you can see, there are a lot more parameters I can set up down here, keypad response, all kinds of things. I'm also going to go down and go into the network area for just a minute and go in and look and see what the system, or I already know what the system name is. What I want to do is see what the E164 name or the alias is actually ABCD. I want to change that to Gary M again. So I'll do an update for that, and that's set it up. Use Gatekeeper. Assuming you have a CMA or a DMA or potentially a VBP, and that's what I have here, you can set up the gatekeeper, and here's where you tell it to go find the gatekeeper. So it turns out 10121 is my gatekeeper, so I'll tell it to update there, and it'll go out and update and hopefully set up. Now, I can do many things. I can set up NAT configuration information here, fixed ports. I have all the parameters that are actually available on the HDX I can set up here with only a few very rare exceptions. In many cases, I have more parameters here. Over in the camera area, I have the ability to set white balance to specific Kelvin values. I also have the ability to change it from a sharpness to motion video quality if I want to. So all these are available for me if I want. I can even go down here to the advanced point of the camera and set brightness, black level, and color saturation. All those can be very handy. Okay, so what I want to do now is place a quick call. So I'm going to call another system, and I've gone to place a call, and I'm going to say call it. and that call is going to set up at 384, and you can see it's saying connecting.